Hi, this is JilliBling. How are you today? I have a project using Gallery Bloom's bundle, which is a new bundle in the upcoming annual catalog, starting in early May. And here's today's project. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. And this is the third project I've done using this bundle. I'll show you the other two. There is this one in navy, and it's like a tri-fold. And this is the last video I did. So if you want to see how to make that one, the video is available, and it has the paper cut sizes, the dimensions, and the video description. So same thing, but just in Daffodil Delight and Lemon Lolly. Then this is the first one, and this was the video prior to that. Aren't those corners fun? And this one is just the same. I guess the placement of the hyacinth is just a little bit different. So let's get started on today's project. The products we'll use: Gallery Bloom's bundle, Country Flowers, just for this, Best Friend Ever, which is stamped right here, and Gallery Bloom's dies. Gallery Bloom's dies, part of the bundle. So here we go. Little paper to stamp the flower on. We could do that right away. Since it's out, let me see if this will fit. No. Don't have to be that frugal. I know this one will. Okay. So I'm going to stamp it in Memento so I could color it in with the blends. And I'll do the same coloring as I did on the sample. Because it's polymer, I should have my foam pad. That makes everything better. Oh! Pretty. Okay. And then, let's see what else is here. Purple Fine Shimmer. And that's for the little bling right down here on the corner. So we'll use that at the end. All kinds of papers. Let's just start with the bottom and work our way up. So thick white cardstock, which is now an online exclusive, so you could still get it, which is nice. For a while there, I thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do without that? But it's still available. So there is the base. And this paper is just for the top. It's a, can you see the little edge? How it's just a little bit smaller. Instead of 5.5, it's 5 3/8. Instead of 4 1/4, it's 4 1/8. So it's just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to texture that using this new embossing folder. It's Damask, and it is another new item in the annual catalog. And just because the pattern is directional, try to use this line to line up the paper as you put it inside. Because if you put your paper in crooked just any old way, your whole card will look crooked, and that's no fun. So see how the white paper is lined up right with that line, or right below it, however you like, but you just want to have your patterns straight. So here it is. Can you see how pretty it is? So it's just going to go on here, and might as well do that now. Haven't stamped all day. Yesterday was class. Then I came home and I was just so tired that I didn't do anything. I started to, but it's like, you know what? Today is a good day to watch TV in the evening with Lovey. So I'm being a little bit heavy on the glue because this embossing folder makes a nice texture, and it just limits the amount of contact, surface to surface contact. So if I'm a little heavy with the glue, it seems to work out better. Okay, and do I have a big block? Big block to weight it down would be convenient, even if it's just for a little bit. There. Okay. This is for stamping. We already stamped on it. And this paper fits perfectly behind this die. And the dies, so this is a gallery. This die will cut out 1, 2, 3 pieces. And you could have them all together, or else you could just use whichever one you want. On today's project, we're going to use 2 of the 3. Actually, all 3 of the 3. Here's the middle one, here's the little one, and the big one is right in here. Okay, so this paper is already cut to fit, and like I said, the paper cut sizes are in the video description. These are inside papers. Inside. So this one, which is just a quarter sheet, I'm going to cut it out and use all 3 pieces. So here they are. 2 of the 3 already have the texture on them. I just ran it through that same embossing folder. This middle piece does not have the texture on it because we're going to stamp the friends word. Best friend ever. So we could do that. And I'm going to put it on this just so it makes it clear where to stamp. Okay. So I'll do it maybe a little bit close. How did I do it on here? Close to the edge or right in the middle. This one is right in the middle. The words are stamped in black. You know, that's probably good because the leaves drift over the frame just a little bit. So midpoint right here. There it is. Okay, so this is looking good. So this frame will go on with dimensionals. New sheet. Love that. A feeling of abundance. Lots of dimensionals. And because the frame is a little bit flexible, normally I would just use 4 dimensionals, but because the frame is a little bit delicate, and I don't want it dipping, I'm using more than your average dimensionals. Okay, so this is going to go right on here. And once again, because the frame is, just try not to manipulate the shape of the rectangle, because I could pull it a little bit and then it will make it not set on top of my fresh Freesia paper very square. Okay, there's that. So this just gets stuck to the top. And once again, because there's texture on that white paper from the embossing folder, I'm a little bit heavy on the glue on purpose. And try to get this centered. And I say that only because the sample, it's not square. Maybe I could look at the embossing folder. This design, okay, that should be good. Okay, where's that middle piece? The middle piece with texture is just going to drop into here. And because when it drops into here, it's just a little, it's like perfect size, I'm going to cut off here and there, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, just so you could see a hint of the fresh freesia layer underneath. Just a little bit. Or more than a little bit. So I cut off that much. That's like a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so it's just a little bit smaller. Not much. Now load this up with glue and try to get it in there straight. I had to wiggle it around on the sample card. See, this one you could see a little bit more of the freesia border. I think that looks good. Okay, and the flower. The flower I will cut out using the die. And then color it using these colors. So I have it started, and I have another leaf to do and another flower to do. So to do the flowers, I'm using 3 markers: Highland Heather Dark, Fresh Freesia Light, Fresh Freesia Dark. So I'll start, and I'm going to do just 2 petals at one time because I want it to be blended. And I'm going to leave a little bit of white at the tip, just as like a 4th color. So this is Heather Dark. I do this petal and this petal. And I'm just going to the center of the petal, right near where it comes out of the bud. Freesia Dark. And just a little bit taller, and then trying to blend it. Okay, so 2 layers, and then just go over the seam. 1 layer, 2 layers, and over the seam. And if I didn't need it to be blended smoothly, like for a flower petal, I think it should be blended smoothly. I would do all of the darkest color and then go back and do the medium and then the light. But because I want it blended, I'm just doing a few petals at one time. And then to soften up, oh, there's more to that petal. To soften up the top where I want the tip of the petal light, I'm going to use my blending pen just to go over it a few times to soften it up a bit. Okay. If there's a small petal, I'll do like 3 of them. Like that could be all dark. A little bit dark here. Dark. All where the seeds are, the pollen, that's all going to be dark. And right here, the center. Okay, now to the medium color. This bundle is just so pretty. But I love roses. And then on the inside, there's a perfect tiny little rose that I'll put in there. This is light. And then I'll go back with the color lifter to soften that edge. Okay, so let's do the green, and then I'll set down the flower, and I'll get it done. So the green, nothing exciting. I'm going to do the whole thing in light Old Olive. And I'm going for two layers of color, just because one layer you might have been light in a spot or missed a spot, and we want it to be solid. And then just a little detail. Then I'm just going to leave it, maybe soften it a little bit. Because right now, the line in between the light and the dark is just a little bit too heavy. Unnatural. There, that's better. Okay, so I'll finish up the flower petals, and we'll move on. So there's Heather Dark. Maybe if I go fast, I could do all of them rather than two processes, all one, maybe. And it's just nice when, if you're trying to get it to blend, to do one at a time, because the prior color is still wet, and that makes for easy blending. Okay. Freesia light, leaving a little bit of white, just a little bit. And when you put the blender pen on it, sometimes the blender pen just kind of muddies it from white into light purple, which is fine too. But just no streak from the Freesia marker. Okay, looking good. So I will attach the flower with dimensionals and some glue. So looking at this, I can see the top part is going to get glue. Oop, that looks like it lifted. I could put glue on that. The tips of the flowers and the stem. And then the inside will get dimensionals. So using this as a guide. And if you're making this, I'll put photos of the inside and the outside on my blog, which is JilliBling.com. And you can have that pulled up so you won't have to pause the video. The pictures right there will show where dimensionals go easily and where the glue goes. Okay. So glue, tips down here. I think that's it. So right, isn't that just so pretty? I love this. And I kind of went over the D, but that's okay. Pretending like I planned it. This one, oh, you know, there's a dimensional writing up halfway on the frame. That's why it didn't stick. But it will now. Okay, and then the bow. The bow is a little bit different. That is using these two. This is current, share ribbon, and I'm pretty sure it's either going to be online exclusive or in the new catalog, but it's still available. It's not listed as last chance, which is nice because I really like this. Sheer silver edged ribbon. Oops. Double bow If you want to make double bows, I have a video from one of my very first videos on how to make double bows. But if you don't keep making them, like after you get it, if you don't keep making them, it's like you forget. Your brain forgets. Because I put it on just about everything, my brain hasn't forgot yet. That's going to go there with a glue dot. Oh, right here. But before I put it on with the glue dot, there's just this little bit of, is that sticking down? No. A little bit of this velvet ribbon. Freesia, isn't that sweet? So I want to put that on. Okay, so that's this. Get just a little bit. I wanted to use both of them and I couldn't decide. Then I thought, well, we can't have two bows. So now I'll trim up the ends in just a minute. And one thing about that velvet trim is one side is the knot side. This side is a pretty side. So I'm just going to do in a little loop. That kind of looks like a awareness ribbon. And I'll attach it with glue dots and then follow up with glue. So this glue dot will be folded in half. To hold them together. Getting the ends somewhat close to equal. I'll trim them and everything. Okay, then another glue dot underneath it, because it has to stick to the card. Then a glue dot on top of it, because I'm going to put the sheer ribbon on top. So that's just a glue dot sandwich. This one is a little bigger. Let's see if I can make it smaller. Glue dots are out of place, but I think it's going to be okay. Okay, and I'm going to follow it up with, see, that one's a little bigger. I think maybe I like the smaller one better. And I'm going to follow it up with the liquid glue because I know that that will dry solid and then nothing will let loose. And I'm going to purposely make these two tails different sizes just because I don't want them to be lost in the mix. Then, and it's going to look a little right now, but after it dries it'll be fine. And it's just good to know that it's really going to be attached. Okay, so now for the bling. So in fine, purple fine shimmer, it comes in 4 different tones. So 3 or 4. This one that's bordering more on pink. This one which is a little bit bluer. And then this one which is deeper. I'm going to use the medium tone. And I'll use a little one. Right here. And a big one. Making sure that they're in line. And then another little one. Or you could use all the same size. I think on the sample I have a little bit of air in between them. These are just all bunched up on each other. I don't know that there's a right or a wrong. Okay, so the outside is done. Let's do the inside. Making sure there's no bling on the inside. Okay, so the inside is these pieces right here. And the dimensions are in the description. So the sizing of this will let there be just a little bit of a freesia border beyond the frame that has a texturing on it. And then the inside is considerably smaller, just knowing that the frame will cover it. But I kind of need the frame in place so I know where to stamp. So I'll put this here as if it were already ready to roll on the inside of the card. And then I know to do the words down just a little bit lower. So lucky to know you. That was from my glue earlier. I was wondering, where'd that go? Good. And then this little rose, which is this one right here. I think it coordinates perfectly with that. And I'll put it right there at the bottom. And that will need just a little bit of coloring. Not much, just a little bit. But I'm going to let the ink dry just a bit, and in the meantime I'll attach this Freesia paper to the inside. And it's interesting that the dies, that frame die, it's not the same size rectangle as the card. Not that that's a problem, but it's just interesting. Kind of funny to work with it. So what I'm talking about is this paper, there's very little border up at the top and the bottom, and a larger border on the side. Just a different size rectangle. And I'll attach this, and I'm just going to do it in the center, and everything should line up. Before I put the frame on, I'll do the coloring. So, same colors. Heather Dark, there's probably not much room to put that because this is so tiny. I'll do just a little bit of it. Then, Freesia Dark is going to be the medium tone. That'll go up to about the halfway point. And then Freesia Light, leaving a bit of white. Maybe. These are just so small, it's hard to leave that white. It's kind of like the white is a fourth color. Then the color lifter, to soften up that edge. Kind of blurs it all together. Now you can't see any of the white tip, but that's okay. It's still pretty. And then, Old Olive Light. And Old Olive Dark. Just right through the middle. Then we put the frame on, and that's it. When have I done a quick card? And again, lots of more dimensionals than you normally would use. Because no one wants a sagging frame, right? And you know, I had this frame just sitting there, and I was going to do standard inside, standard sizes. And it's like, that frame is really cute. Can it go inside? Yeah. Okay. Get it centered onto the Freesia without distorting it. Okay, it's going to go right there. That's not square. Now it's going to really be distorted. Okay, so I know how much goes right here. And same amount up there. Am I asking for a disaster? No, it worked out. Oh, it's going uphill. There it is. Okay, so today's project, what do you think? You like it? I think the flower in any color would be just so pretty. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.